Can you talk a bit about the White Swan painting that you have?
It's a crane.
Oh, it's a crane. I didn't go to school for birds.
It's a bird.
That's my bad. I just don't know my species.
Mercredi. I'm from a community called Grand Rapids in Manitoba, and most of my life has been spent in a leadership role of one kind or another. But a few years back, a friend of mine wanted me to join them at where artists got together to paint and so forth. So I went along with, learned how to use a brush and know about the colors, and I started painting about 15 years ago now, between 13 and 15 years ago. I don't consider myself an artist yet. That's why the show is called Ehgojist Tha-yan, which is in Cree, which means I'm trying, because I am trying. And maybe at some point in time in the future, I'll be comfortable calling myself an artist. But right now, I'm just one of those people trying to do something different from their normal life. And I'm glad I joined forces with the different artists from Saskatchewan, Manitoba, because I've learned a lot from them. So I started imagining about our people, like the First Nations people, and trying to paint a story. So you'll see, for example, some references there to children and parents, and the whole idea of apprehensions or the incapacity of a mother to look after their children and all that. So I tried to portray that, I think, in a light where conversation can happen without being judgmental about it, just conveying a story in that way. There's also one there, very colorful. It's about a baby being born. And from my memory of my community, that was a very significant day and happy moment, not just in a parent's life, but for the whole community. And everybody shared in the joy. So I painted that to show the way communities come together when a baby's born. Yeah, you'll see a bird there, a crane. It's based on a history about the Anishinaabe people. And historically, back in the day pre-colonization, the crane clan was recognized as a leader bird. And a lot of leaders within the Anishinaabe nation came from the crane clan. And as I looked more into it, I learned that the crane represented four things: leadership, of course, mysticism, prophecy, and spirituality. It's to the last point that I wrote a poem to go with that painting. In that poem, I tried to convey the idea of what is sacred, and that to achieve it, you don't have to really yell or sing loud or anything like that. You just simply have to allow the light in, right?
When a crane wanders around silently without sound or noises, skimming softly the pond surface, its long, seasoned legs moving forward with careful ripples that do not disturb, it walks like a champion water glider in a quest and mission celestial. When a crane ponders in light, moving without haste or speed in a deliberate circle around the pond, it glows with grace and peace, in a spiritual, mystical mystery, leading with absolute certainty, knowing sustenance is near at hand. When a crane stands motionless, seemingly wrapped in sacred attention, we cannot hear the song of wonder that it whispers in a sacred manner, Emmanuel, 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 Emmanuel. But we can see and feel a wonderment, as we too desire to find Emmanuel within us. But unlike the crane that moves in grace, we try too hard with loud noise and praise, as if we want to achieve spiritual attention by disturbing our peace with giant waves, instead of learning the way of the crane, by allowing the light to enter naturally as we whisper Emmanuel in a sacred way.
I think my poems talk about the impact that injustice can do to a nation, as well as the impact of colonization in general. But it's also about aspiration, like this idea that our people need to rise up. So I think my poetry is pretty contemporary in that way. It speaks to a voice that's out there within our population. For example, concerns with respect to the environment or unchecked development and things like that. Or even the social problems that we face, that we deal with on a daily basis, alcoholism or drug abuse in our society and all that. And or even the experience of residential schools and sexual abuse that different individuals have experienced, either within the church or within the school system or in general within the community. So the poetry is what's been published so far is just a selection of at least 600 poems I've written so far. The approach I take is to imagine a story. To try to tell a story in 8 lines is quite a challenge. But you'll see one called Looking for Jesus. And it's really about a person who's being sexually abused. And he's remembering, or she's remembering, or Christian education about Jesus and all that, the Savior and the intervener, and calling upon that to happen. So, that's really, I think, a powerful little poem about how the church or even Christian thoughts or spiritual beliefs cannot protect you in the hands of a perpetrator, sexual abuse perpetrator, and that there's a limit to what spiritual thought can accomplish. In the end, we have to be strong enough, I think, as individuals to fight against evil or to destroy it in our own way, so it doesn't destroy us in the end.